Have you ever done like
So,
central casting or anything like that? Like in acting?
I've done a lot of, right? Like I have done a lot of comedy, but it's always like musical theater comedy. And, you know, it's like actually an interesting stepping stone between like vaudeville comedy and stand-up or sketch comedy, really.
Right.
You know, it's because musical theater had its heyday, right, like in the 50s and 60s. So, you know, not that there's not modern musical theater, and I could really talk about it forever because I've taken too much classes on this bullshit that I don't need to know about. Yeah, like, you know, so like you know, if I got up on stage and told a joke, I'd be able to tell if it worked. You know what I'm saying? Like I can read an audience. I can definitely like adjust my performance for an audience, you know, if needed, on my feet and stuff like that. But I've never done my own material in front of an audience, and I've wanted to. Like I said, I've written stuff, but again, I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna go back and look at it. We'll see.
I think you should. I will, like I said, at the very least, I will be there to support you to do that. And what I usually like to do, as far as like, I will when it like for open mics, you know, you kind of have to just like. You got to put up all your best stuff up front, you know, because you got to get them, because you only got like a little bit amount of time. You know, if you're doing like a, you know, like a 15, 30, 45 minutes, then you can like, you know, do the Ron White storytelling if you want to. But, you know, what I would do when I would go to do
How
comedy.
How tolerant would a male audience be of like period jokes?
You mean like the 1800s, the 1700s, or are you talking about menstruation?
I'm talking about menstruation, yes, honey.
It's menstruation. It's making me wait. That was a little ketchup commercial. And then if you think about it, it's kind of, you could interchange. Shut up, Ma! We don't live here anymore. We're squatting. But what I would do when I go to comedy clubs, like to do open mics, it's the devil coming to get us. I would read the room. I would like kind of like, you know, have a drink and just kind of look around the room and listen to how people were. I would listen to different laughs and stuff like that, and so you could kind of tell like what kind of people. And then you'd look at them like if it's a bunch of like fucking hipsters or something like that. Maybe it's not going to go over well because you got a lot of blue collar jokes and it's probably just going to go over their man buns. And then, you know, but if it's like there was this joint over in Bushwick it was Flushing and Broadway over there by Woodhull Hospital. There was this joint called Don Pedro. And it was literally a condemned building. But the bar was still open in it for some reason, and it had a back room, and we would do comedy back there. So anybody that was coming to a condemned building to see a comedy show, we're pretty sure they were going to have a pretty fucking open mind. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, they're not picky about their surroundings, at least. So, anyway, so what... So that's how I would have like different kinds of material ready, depending on the crowd. Like if I've been to Don Pedro a few times, they actually did tear the building down now, so it's no longer R.I.P. Don Pedro. But like, you could. Go ahead.
But like, here's my issue with having to do that, right? Like, I only want to make my period jokes. Like, I don't want to have like an array of jokes for different people. Like,
no, I got you.
Like, jokes are like, I'm expressing myself, right? Like, so like that's how I felt about theater too, right? So like when you're in theater, especially musical theater, they tell you to have like, you know, a repertoire of stuff you can do at an audition. And I had to have like a classical song, a modern song, a comedy song, and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, you know, I was all these different people, but I was never me, you know? So I guess that's why I started, you know, getting interested in podcasting, honestly. And like, I feel like this is much more of a medium that I can just sort of talk to the people that want to talk to me. And then, you know, like everybody else can go fuck off because I can't. Like I'm bored.
No, I hear you. You have a little more. You have a lot more control over the atmosphere and the situation. Right. That's why I don't like doing stand up per se. I would feel much more comfortable hosting an open mic night than when actually being a participant in the open mic, because then it's just like you can rattle off a couple of three just dad jokes or whatever, something stupid, but then you got the next comic up who may lift or bring down the room, you know. So really, like, I think a great place you and I can go to is this place in Long Island City called the Creek and the Cave. You ever heard of that place?
No.
Okay. So there's two levels to the Creek and the Cave, right? And the first level is like there's a main room up there, and you know, pretty decent room. I'd say maybe fits about like 50 people, something like that in there. And then but then downstairs in the basement is where they have the open mic. And what they do is you put your name on a piece of paper and you put it in a bucket. And then they just pull the next name. So it's random. You don't know when you're going to go up, right?
Oh,
I wasn't there to perform. Me and my lady friend went there. It was loud as fuck, but that shit was like Thunderdome. Okay, so when you're on stage, there's a guy at the piano. It looks like some dystopian piano. And then you got this guy on the other side, this big guy. He may have worn a shirt, I don't know, but he has like this big pitcher of beer and this little table, and he's like kind of like the judge, you know, back there. It's very like Thunderdome. Everybody's, you know, there's throwing meat and bones at you and shit, and it's just, I think that's where we need to do it, because I think those period jokes, you have found your Mars rover right there. You have found life on Mars right there. So, nice. And it's easy to get to. So we'll go there one night and we'll do an open mic, and we'll get like nice and shitty beforehand. So if we bomb, who cares? We won't know. So, and I think it'll be so great. And then I'll get my lady friend to video us. That's what us old people say. We're gonna video y'all. Y'all getting a picture now. We're gonna take a video, y'all. Or we used to say film, but it's not even film. But I think that'd be great. I want to see your name in lights on Broadway. That's what I want to see. You know, because you got so much juice, lady. You got juice.
You're so sweet.
You have juice. You have juice. Don't spill your juice. Oh shit. It never goes away. Oh shit. I'm too old. I'm too old to be doing antics like that.